Good morning and welcome to the Lakers Lowdown. I'm Anthony Irwin. Today on the show, brought to you, by the way, by Sleeper. Enter that promo code LA Lounge on the Sleeper app to get a $100 deposit match. Terms and conditions apply. But today on the show, AD had that game, and there are being excuses made for him. They don't fly. He should be killed for that game. He will be killed for that game. And all of the criticism that we see that we think goes too far, this is why people feel comfortable offering that amount of criticism against him. The Lakers lost to the Sacramento Kings 125-110. They are 6-6 on the season. Sacramento improves to 6-4. This was their second road victory of the year. The Lakers entered this game and started this game as if they had just played quadruple overtime the night before. That was obviously not the case. They blew out the Memphis Grizzlies the night before. AD and LeBron were able to sit for the entirety of the fourth quarter. And honestly, this tone was set right from the very get-go. The Lakers won the tip, right? But then De'Aaron Fox steps right in between AD and LeBron, steals the tip in 3 seconds, gets an and one. And from that point on, the Lakers were just never consistently competitive in this one. And, I thought, I think some of LeBron's focus on the defensive end is going to wane. That's going to be the kind of consistent theme with him. But I thought that he was competitive all game. I thought Austin Reeves played really poorly in this one. This was one of his worst games, I think, of the season. Talk about him in a bit. I thought D'Angelo Russell remained competitive throughout. I thought Cam Reddish continued to show the kind of things that we're kind of blown away that we continue to see. But the story in this one was Anthony Davis. It just was. There is no ways around it, and I kept on looking at Twitter where fans are saying, well, he has to be hurt. He has to be hurt. He has to be tired. Something has to be going on. Trainers were never really checking in on him. There was one moment in the game where he kind of signaled at the end of the first quarter, signaled that he needed a sub. And I was kind of looking for, are they going to work on his groin? Are the trainers going to go over and talk to him? Is he going to go to the locker room? Is he going to leave the bench in any way? Is he going to get a hot pack? Any kind of extra wrapping on it? No, nothing happened. So then he re-enters the game. And at that point, when he re-enters a game and doesn't get any extra attention from the training staff, that means he's healthy. Either he's healthy or the training staff isn't doing their job. And I know that the training staff in this case is at least competent to do their job to that extent. So I am taking for granted that AD was healthy in this one. Maybe fatigued, but the night before, he didn't play in the fourth quarter. So he can't be that fatigued, right? And by the way, the other guy that you would think would be more fatigued, the 39-year-old next to him, LeBron, looked fresh as a daisy. So this isn't like a matter of, well, he's tired, he was banged up, he's this and that. No, he just played poorly. He didn't show up. And you look at his stat line, right? On the night, total, and this was inflated when he re-entered the game at the end. Heading into the fourth quarter, he had 4 points on 6 attempts. He finishes the game with 9 points on 9 attempts, 0 of 1 from 3-point range, only 3 free throws, grabbed 9 rebounds, did have 4 blocks or whatever, and that's a positive. That's the only positive from this one. But the conversation about Anthony Davis is always very stupid to me. It goes way too far out in either direction for my liking, where on one end, on the negative end, right, people are saying, oh, he's trash, he's this, he's overrated, blah, blah, blah. He's not those things. He clearly isn't. And on the other end of it, though, with some Lakers fans, when he has a game like this, it's immediately, well, he clearly is right. He can't be right. And maybe we'll find after the game that he was sick. I hope so. I hope that there's some explanation for it. But still, given how little attention he got, there was no mention of any sickness during the game, no mention before the game, nothing. There might be an explanation. There is no excuse for him playing the way that he did. It was a bad game for Anthony Davis. And, I know the people. I am probably about as hard on Anthony Davis as anybody in LA media. And I will grant that I can probably be a little too hard on him. But the reason I am is because of how talented he is, and because of the way that Lakers fans want to hold him up in that class of Shaq, in that class of Hakeem, and those great centers and all that. Remember, after they won the championship, people were asking, is he the best player in the world? Is he the best center in the world? Where does he belong in the top 5 centers all time? So if we're going to, when we overreact in that way, right, we have to react properly in the other way when he no-shows, because those great players, the great players, the top 5 players, even going right now, not even ever, right now, top 10 players right now. I was doing All Access Lakers with the guys tonight, and Shub pulled up the worst games that all of the top 10 players have played so far. And the only one that came close was Damian Lillard. We played 30 minutes. He scored 6 points. But the thing about Lillard is we know he can't be the best player on a championship team. That's why he's going off and playing with Giannis. We know that that's the case with him. With AD, the Lakers are hoping that he can be the best player on a championship team. That's the hope. Except that when he has games like this, when you know that the floor is at this level, he cannot be the best player on a championship team, because you just never know when he's just not going to show up. In this one, there is no reason that he would not. You're on national television. You're playing against a division. I don't know if I want to call him rival, but it is certainly a division game when it is going to have ramifications here moving forward. You were plenty rested from the night before. It wasn't like the Lakers played the night before on the road. They played a home game. They beat the shit out of the Memphis Grizzlies the night before. He got to sit out, but he played like 25 minutes. There's no reason he should be tired here, right? But no, he plays poorly. And the people on the other end of the spectrum that I don't necessarily, I never agree with, were making the excuse, oh, he clearly can't be right. He can't be okay. No way. Not our Anthony Davis. No, man, he sucked tonight. We can say it. Like, you can just say it. We're allowed to just point out that, like, he played he had a performance here that is way below the type of star that we and the Lakers expect him to be. And this exact game is why the Lakers, coming off of the championship, have always been a little iffy about having his extensions extend beyond LeBron James. Now they do. So they are like pot committed with this guy. And if he has games like this, when LeBron isn't there, the Lakers are not competitive. They were barely competitive tonight with LeBron still trying to keep him in this one. And there were stretches where the Lakers were down by like 6 points or so. And you're looking at it, you're like, man, if AD just plays like a league average starting center, then the Lakers are probably ahead in this one. But he didn't. He played bad, objectively no-showed in this one. And it was like, for everything that Raj and I said coming off of the Memphis game, everything that we loved about that Memphis game, we were like, man, it was, he really took it to Jaren Jackson Jr. He took him right out of the game from the get-go. Jaren Jackson Jr. just knew he had no chance. He had no, he didn't belong on the same court as Anthony Davis in that one. But in this one, Domantas Sabonis, who got played off of the court by Kevon Looney in last year's playoffs, that's how AD reacted to Sabonis driving into his chest. You just never believed that at any point here, AD wanted anything to do with competing. And I'm sorry, like, all-time great. He can be an all-time good. He can be an all-time, like, he's like one of the best, second best players on any championship team ever, right? I think that's basically what he's destined to be. A super duper talented second best player on a really effing good team. That's who Anthony Davis is. But if he's your best player, if he's your tone setter, night in, night out, you might get games like this. And in which case, when you do get games like this, you don't have a chance from the get-go. And everything has to go absolutely perfectly right so that you do. And in this one, the Lakers, obviously, everything didn't go their way. Sacramento shot the ball well. The Lakers didn't shoot the ball well. LeBron played really well. But outside of him and D'Angelo Russell and a couple guys coming off of the bench, there just was not the presence that you needed to make up for Anthony Davis. Absolutely no showing. Elsewhere on the team, the guy who's probably sitting here saying, like, thank God AD played the way that he did. Reeves like had that regression game, right? Where we have been really excited about the way that Reeves has been playing to this point. Since he came off of the bench, he had been playing very well. In 34 minutes, 4 of 10 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3-point range, 1 of 2 from the line. Did grab 11 boards. That's nice. Did have 8 assists. That's nice. But he had 4 turnovers. A few of them were absolute killers. Just couldn't make skip passes over the top of the defense. And I thought really didn't deal very well with the ball pressure that the Kings were were putting on him. And I think this is going to be probably a trend for him. He's not a great athlete. and usually when teams are going to put that kind of pressure on you, it takes like being a pretty good athlete, turning the corner and backing them off like naturally by attacking, getting into the paint and those things. Reeves is not that kind of a player, not that kind of a ball handler, and I thought had one of his worst games of the season to this point in this one. And again, kudos to him for at least attempting to do other things. He out rebounded Anthony Davis, so you have that going for you. But I think for what the Lakers are trying to do with that second unit, I really think that they're going to have to find a way to get him and LeBron James going because, I read the stat to this point in the season. They haven't updated, obviously, on NBA.com, recording, minutes after the game in the way that I am. But going into that game, he and LeBron are carrying a negative net rating on the season. And that's for a variety of reasons. And if the Lakers are going to be like the best version that they can be, he and LeBron are going to have to get on the same page in better ways than they have to this. There was a play in the fourth quarter tonight. I believe it was even coming out of the a timeout where AD had the ball and LeBron and Reeves like literally run into each other trying to figure out where they should be on the court. And I thought that and we'll talk about Darvin here in a second, but it was a tough game. One of those games where, Reeves reverts back to, well, do I attack here? Do I shoot here? Do I pass here? Do I do this? Do I do that? And you could actually see like the thought bubble over his head. Kind of like, remember, with cartoons when we were kids where, a single character would have that like rain cloud over their head and it would just follow them everywhere they would go. That's what that thought bubble was like on Reeves all night tonight, where you could just tell he was never particularly confident, never very comfortable out there, left a lot of shots short, had a lot of just tough turnovers, did a lot of whining to the referees. I thought in this one, he let kind of some of those, he basically, because of the way how poorly he was playing, I thought that he was complaining a lot to the referees to basically like take his attention away from the way that he was playing. But really what you got to do in those spots is just play your game, get back to the fundamentals, try to simplify your game and just focus on the one thing. And I thought in this one, he tried to do too many things all at once and it didn't turn out very well. And I'm not particularly worried about him moving forward. The only thing that I guess I am a little, for lack of a better term, concerned about is if that becomes the scouting report with him moving forward, is, our team's just going to really pressure up on him and make him uncomfortable. He doesn't have the tightest handle and he isn't the best athlete. And like, is that going to be where teams start to make him so uncomfortable that he can't run that second unit? That's where I would be somewhat concerned coming off of this one, because we've seen it a few times this season where that is the thing that he doesn't deal with particularly well. So not a great game for Reeves. It's just a bad game, honestly, for Reeves. And he's fortunate that AD played the way that he did, or else he'd be getting a lot more heat for again, just a bad game given the expectations on Reeves here moving forward. On the plus side, though, and look, the Lakers lost by 15. They were down at a various points by 17 to 20 or so, and obviously this was not a good game. And that's how it's going to go when your second best player and most talented player just doesn't play. But I do think that there were a couple things to like coming off of this one. I thought that LeBron looked really good. He finishes the game with a big triple double, right? 28, 11, and 10 for him, 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3-point range, 7 of 8 from the line. He plays 35 minutes. Man, I hate wasting games like that with LeBron, right? And that was the thing that like we kept on saying in on All Access Lakers, right? Was God, like how does AD watch LeBron put forth the effort that he's putting forward? How does that not get you going in any real way? And it didn't, and unfortunately that trickle down effect didn't work out. And the Lakers wind up wasting a really good LeBron game. Now, like all that said, he did have a couple of blunders defensively, got beat backdoor on a few occasions, didn't get out to contest some threes that he kind of needed to. And I think that's kind of going to happen. This game was not this was by zero means whatsoever on LeBron, I think. It's just such a bummer. I can't, he had 4 steals in this one too. Just a great game that feels brutal to waste. Elsewhere, you had D'Angelo Russell go 12 of 20, 4 of 6 from 3-point range. He finishes with 28 points, 5 assists, 5 boards, a couple turnovers, which is fine to me. Had a block, and I thought like it. My problem with AD, to keep on. I'm sorry that I'm going to keep beating a dead horse here, but my problem with AD was, he finishes the game with 9 field goal attempts. He entered the fourth quarter with 6 field goal attempts, and maybe this is, partially on Russell for being the kind of aggressive that he was, and partially on the rest of the Lakers for not trying to get AD going. But like in their defense, anytime AD caught the ball in isolation and and looked like he had an opportunity to do something to attack Domantas Sabonis, he wanted nothing to do with it. So like I thought that Russell kind of saw that, and even at the end of the game, Russell like didn't finish the game with the bench, was actually sitting there at the scorers table so he was clearly frustrated with something there. And I think, and I wouldn't blame him if the thing that he was frustrated by was the way that his all-world center played on a day where like half of the fan base felt like was like fiending for Zach LaVine and trading D'Angelo Russell for Zach LaVine. Like, I thought this was a good D'Angelo Russell game. I thought he competed throughout, and I give him a ton of credit for doing so. Given that like a lot of times when a team's best or second best player no shows the way that AD does, everybody no shows. In this case, so like LeBron kind of helped lift some of that tone. And I thought that D'Angelo picked up what LeBron was kind of like putting down, but it's yeah, the best version of D'Angelo Russell is going to be one that facilitates more than he attacks. And I thought tonight his instinct was to attack because the guy that he would facilitate for wasn't interested in being facilitated for. So that and there's just not much you can do in that case for Russell. And I'm sure we're going to be getting quotes from AD saying he has to be better, and he let the guys down and all that stuff, and he did. And he, when he says those things, he'll be right. But credit to LeBron and Russell for stepping up and trying to keep the Lakers competitive. It just, when AD doesn't have it going, when Reeves also doesn't have it going, and when the Kings do have it going the way that they did, you're going to get mathed out. Last kind of positive I have here is, again, Cam Reddish, 32 minutes, 7 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3-point range, 16 points, 5 steals for Cam Reddish in this one. I thought that the Lakers looked their best when he was guarding whoever the primary ball handler was on the court. And I think this is where having Jared Vanderbilt back, and if Cam continues playing the way that he is, that that combination of being able to throw both of those guys at primary ball handlers and utilize their length, that'll be something that I'm looking forward to being able to watch. And again, like, even though the Lakers lost here, this is now a stretch where Cam seems to be, building the type of habits that will keep him in the rotation regardless of who gets healthy, whether it's Vanderbilt, whether it's Gabe Vincent, whoever. If Cam Reddish keeps playing the way that he is, and throughout this game, he was engaged on both sides of the ball. He's shooting the ball confidently. He's in passing lanes, whether it's getting steals or just disrupting the offense by making a denial that forces the other team's offense to get into it, you know, 3-4 seconds longer or later than they would like to. Another really good showing here from Cam Reddish, and yeah, again, like, if he keeps this up, and this is the kind of thing that I used to tell my players who wanted more playing time back when I was coaching, right? I would say, like, make me make a tough call, right? You want more minutes, you have to get it from that other, guy or girl, or whatever. You gotta, make me have to, like, stay up late at night trying to find ways to get you into the rotation because of the way that you're playing. And to this point, over this last stretch or so, Reddish has absolutely done that, and it was cool to see him continue that in a game that was not particularly competitive. He certainly was. I think the last thing I want to finish on here, in regards to this game in particular, Darvin Ham, I thought, had kind of a rough one. I thought that it made sense for Cam Reddish's minutes to basically mirror De'Aaron Fox's. That was not the case, and I thought that, like, you had some minutes where Torian Prince was guarding De'Aaron Fox. That didn't go very well. You had minutes where, like, Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell were guarding De'Aaron Fox, and obviously that didn't go very well. I thought that going into it, and this isn't necessarily what you see in a regular season game. This is more of like a playoff series setting where you do line up certain minutes or certain guys' minutes with other guys. And maybe that is the case where this is just a regular season game and you kind of stick closer to your rotations. But this is also one that the Lakers, you kind of wanted to win, right? It's a division game. It's a home division game. That means that the Lakers, if they want to even out the season series with Sacramento, they're going to have to win on the road in Sacramento. That's going to be very tough to do. So I think for in that regard, it's easy to get kind of carried away with the micro. But even in the macro sense, this is one where the Lakers, I thought Darvin would kind of coach this one more to win. You have an off day tomorrow. You don't play again until Friday. You would kind of see what you could do, what Cam can do there against De'Aaron Fox for longer stretches of the game. And then also to finish the game, Reeves clearly didn't have it. Like, he just flat out did not have it tonight. And I thought that this was a game that you could probably have left him on the bench and kept Rui in, who was competitive. Rui finishes, he only plays 18 minutes, 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3-point range. I thought that, like, because you had Cam Reddish, because Austin and D'Lo were out there to close the game. Both those guys basically had to guard Kevin Huerter and De'Aaron Fox, and that meant that, like, Cam Reddish winds up getting wasted on Harrison Barnes, and I just didn't think that was what the Lakers were doing anytime that they had success over the course of the game. So I would have preferred to bring in Rui there for Austin, have him guard Barnes, allow Cam to go out and guard Reddish. And, like, yeah, the Lakers were doing a lot of switching and all of that, but, like, when you're switching and you're doing all of that extra work, that just allows Sacramento to get into the cracks and use the ball movement to take advantage of those switches. And again, I don't think that decision down in the fourth quarter cost the Lakers a game. This one was lost as soon as AD showed up and played the way that he did. But if you're going to try to make up for it, you have to be basically perfect everywhere else. And I thought Darvin was, not even not perfect, but, like, it just wasn't a particularly great game for Darvin here. So, and then also like I would have liked to seen some timeouts taken earlier in the game when the Lakers were clearly kind of just like going through the motions, and Sacramento really took it to them early. An extra timeout to kind of wake everybody up and be like, hey, what? Like, there's no reason that you guys should be playing this slow. And not even like slow as if like as in like I want the Lakers to get out and run with the Kings, but what you can't do against the Kings because of how active they're going to be, like you can't just like go through the motions in your sets and allow the Kings to keep beating you to the spot and get over the top on screens and get a forearm into chest when you're trying to make a cut. And it forces you into these isolation spots that, really kind of stall out the offense. And when it was clear that the Lakers were like way too happy to just go into ISO offense, I would have liked to seen a couple, maybe an extra timeout from Ham just to see if you can snap him out of it. And if it doesn't work, and maybe it doesn't work, like there's no guarantee that taking that time out there is going to set things in the right direction. But I would have liked to seen a little bit more, proactiveness from Darvin in a game that the Lakers like clearly needed to be kind of shaken out of their funk. So, you combine all of that, and it was just not the best Darvin game, I didn't think. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give Jason Kelly a shout out. We traded for a top 5 to 10 player when we traded for AD, and he isn't that. This roster looks like a playing team. Thanks for all you do, Anthony. Thank you, Jason, for that. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like that's the thing is Lakers fans and the Lakers are hoping that AD is that kind of top 5 to 10 player, right? You can't expect LeBron James at age 39 to be the best player on your team night in, night out. He's shown somehow in a way that just absolutely obliterates all of our medical expectations here for the way that the human body can age, that he can do some of that. But it's just unfair to ask him to do that. And that's where like, and this is where I would have liked to have been in the locker room there at halftime to see how LeBron reacts to that. Like to see how LeBron, if he kind of like goes like, "Hey man, what the fuck? Are you gonna play? You should like, are you hungover? What's wrong? Are you sick? Like, what is going on?" I would have loved to seen or heard more from the Lakers locker room at halftime, and it's going to be interesting to see, coming out of this one, what the response is going to be here from the Lakers and from AD, right? On Friday, when the Lakers, try to bounce back from this, I'm really curious when it's a game against Portland. It's one that AD probably should dominate again. He has dominated before. It's in Portland, and historically that's a tough place for the Lakers to play. But still, like if that has to be an absolute domination type game from AD that he needs to follow up. Like he needs to show that when guys get physical with him, he doesn't wilt, because that's basically the MO with him. Is like if he is the aggressor, right? If he's in somebody's chest, that's when he looks good. But the moment that somebody gets into his chest, he just kind of goes, "Woof, this sucks. I don't like this very much." And just tends to take that step back. And when you take that step back, good players, whether it's Sabonis, as we saw tonight, whether it's we've seen Nurkic do this to him in the past, and Drummond for some reason gives AD problems, and Jokic, right? I think I mentioned him. There's a lot of itches in what I'm trying to say here, but with those like super physical bigs, once they hit him in the chest, I want to see him like take that physicality, be like, "Oh, it's gonna be that kind of a night, huh? All right." And meet them back with that on the other end. And in this one tonight, whether it was meeting them with physicality on the other end or trying to turn the corner to get Sabonis into foul trouble, no matter what, anything, AD could have done anything. and it would have been better than we saw tonight. And it was a real bummer. And I really don't hope. I really hope that there aren't excuses made for this guy, because he is way too talented and he is way too critical to the Lakers for us to just like, oh, bad nights happen, I guess. No, he's making the GDP of like Uzbekistan over the course of his next contract or over the course of his time with the Lakers. That comes with expectations. And with those expectations comes with it comes with accountability and criticism. And tonight, when he plays like he does tonight, he just needs to be criticized, not given explanations, not given excuses. No, just criticism, because that can't happen again. Period. All right, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lowdown podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We have Aaron coming up a little bit later today. Again, shouts to everybody at Sleeper. Put that promo code LA Lounge. I'm going to show it here on the screen for everybody to take advantage of before we get going. Again, that is the Sleeper app. You can get up to $100 on your first deposit match using that promo code LA Lounge. Tonight, if you would have just gone under on basically everything on AD, you'd have made a bunch of money. So yeah, Sleeper, use that promo code LA Lounge. And until the next time I talk to you guys, I'm Anthony Irwin, saying have a great rest of your day, make somebody else's, and for the love of God, Anthony Davis, never do that again.